What's up, guys? It's Amir from Panelfly here, and I just finished watching the final episode of the Terminalist Dark Wolf, and let's just say it was pretty good. I do have some issues with it, but nevertheless, I did want to go ahead and break the episode down for y'all. So with that, let's get into it. But first, guys, just wanted to say real quick, if you've been liking my content, please please subscribe to the channel. We're a growing channel. That would really, really be appreciated. And if you can, comment below on what I could be doing better, what breakdowns you want to see, or if you've been liking my other content, like the anime breakdowns and stuff like that, and then commentating them as Joe Rogan, let me know what fight you want to see next. But anyways, with that, guys, let's go ahead and get into it. So we start off with a time jump. So we begin 2 months later. Essentially, we see Ben Edwards. He's in a cabin, and he is booby trapping the place up. You can tell he's going to get ready for a battle, and it's pretty cool. But I did question, is like, what is Haverford going to go after him, or like what's going to happen here? But nevertheless, he's booby trapping up a cabin in the woods, and then meanwhile, we see Hastings taking Haverford to basically the CIA and basically telling the CIA about his misconduct. And Haverford got ahead of this and basically said, "Hey, we got a rogue CIA agent who has the bearings to make Iran essentially a nuclear regime." And so he kind of got ahead of it, and basically the CIA is basically like, Ben Edwards is the one with the bearings, and we have no evidence of basically everything that happened in the operation. It does seem like the CIA is aware of Haverford's operation, but not necessarily all the details and nuances. And so basically Hastings is essentially having no luck. And then next we see basically we really do get into the action right away, and it was almost a little bit mindless in a sense. It was almost like, action just to have action because it's a terminalist. It felt a little bit like that. It didn't really feel that much. Obviously they did set it up, but it's like, But anyways, so Ben Edwards is purposely giving off his location. And with that, he makes a call to James Reese. Hey, he's back, and says, "Hey, I'm about to, things are about to go down. Do you think you can help me out?" And James Reese, he's a little skeptical. He's like, "What have you been doing? It sounds like you've been going through the ringer." And so we kind of get left on a cliffhanger. We don't know if he's going to help him out or not. And then he's basically, he talks with Ben Edwards goes and talks with his crew that he's been working with, obviously with Haverford, and we just hear them on the phone. We see them for like a second. They don't really do anything either, and I just felt like that was a little lackluster. I think this season was pretty good, but I do think this finale was a little lackluster, and it didn't answer the main question of why they did a prequel to the Terminal List, which I will get into towards the end, so stay tuned for that. And so basically the assault unfolds. Iran goes after him, and they are trying to get the bearings back, and we have a whole assault on the cabin, and basically we get in a shootout. Ben Edwards is spraying and praying with an LMG, and basically the Iranian agents, I don't know if it's their version of CIA or military, basically they go after him. The cabin blows up, and they get in a firefight. Ben Edwards goes under some tunnels. He digged under the cabin. He gets in more firefight. He gets injured, and essentially he keeps running through the woods injured, and he keeps getting in the firefight. And that lasts for honestly probably a good, I don't know, I would say even 10 minutes or so, something like that. And it's a cool action sequence. It just felt a little rushed. It almost felt like it was unnecessary. And like I said, they just wanted to put action because it's a Terminal List series. So I was just like, you know. But anyway, so Ben Edwards, he's getting overwhelmed, and then out of nowhere, basically, James Reese comes in. He had a 15. Ben Edwards had like a 15-minute timer, which it didn't really make sense too, because he was talking to his crew that he worked with Haverford with about the 15-minute timer. Didn't talk with James Reese about it, but it was actually for James Reese, and you have to watch it to see what I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil everything. I do want you to watch it, and it's worth watching. It just felt a little rushed. And so basically, he's getting overwhelmed. James Reese and his crew come, basically save the day for Ben Edwards, obviously Taylor Kitsch's character, and they have the bearings. And then with that, they basically start taking down all the major operatives in Haverford's scheme, one by one, basically taking out the backbone. They take Artem out. Mo, he places a bomb on Kirush's car, or Cyrus's car, who's the Iranian nuclear director, killing him, and basically that kind of happens. And let me look at my notes here. So yeah, basically they weaken Haverford's basically backbone, and he's reduced to nothing. He's golfing. He sees the news that the director has been killed in a bombing. He goes home, and basically we have the final confrontation with Ben and Haverford, and essentially this whole thing, we kind of knew about it. It was basically, a long play to get back at Iran. They've been doing all these bombings and while Haverford was in the military, obviously his base got bombed, killed all his friends, injured him, and essentially Ben Edwards is like, so why did you do it, man? And then he explains, like, this was all one big revenge story. You and I are the same. You would have done the same thing, type of thing. That's why you killed. I'm gonna butcher this. The guy, Al-Bazi, I think, the guy he killed in the very first episode. He's like, you did the same thing. You got vengeance on him. The one who, like, I think he was selling the little girl off, the two kids, from his friend, the translator. You know what I'm talking about if you've seen the first episode. Comment below to clarify that. I just forgot his name. But anyways, that's what happened. And so basically, Ben Edwards is like, oh, so you didn't want to end a war. You wanted to start a war. And basically that was pretty much Haverford's goal, is start a war with Iran and take the whole regime down. Like, I mean, pretty much like some Hitler shit, some genocide. Like, it's pretty crazy. And so Haverford's like, all right, well, you know my plan, you know everything, are you going to kill me? And Ben Edwards is like, no, I don't want you to get a star. I want you to be a number in a prison cell. And not only that would bring illegitimacy to Ben's cause. And Haverford's like, how are you going to put me in a prison cell? And then Ben Edwards hands him a folder where he has all the communication back and forth between the shepherd and him, and basically his plans and all that. And so he tips off the police. They come and arrest him, and Ben Edwards leaves. And that's pretty much the episode. There is a little bit after, where basically Ben Edwards is getting recruited by the CIA. I guess he has a buddy in the CIA that we haven't met, and he's getting recruited. And basically the last straw for him to get recruited is basically to do a lie detector test. And essentially, the final question in the lie detector is, why do you want to join the CIA? And he's like, well, this is where I belong. And basically he was passing the whole lie detector test. And that's kind of where we end. And he basically becomes a CIA. So that's pretty much, in a nutshell, the Terminal List, the final episode explained, Terminal List Dark Wolf. Now my issue is, the reason why they did the prequel to the Terminal List is because they wanted to explain more about Ben Edwards' character and explained why he was the way he was in the Terminalist and gave up his whole old crew in the Navy SEALs. And it's like, they actually, I don't think they did a good job of explaining why he was the way he was, because literally James Reese comes and helps him and saves his life in this final battle, in the final episode of Terminalist Darkwolf. It's like your buddy saved your life and then you go screw him over a year or 2 years later or whatever it is for like $25 million and you take down his whole platoon, your old platoon too. That doesn't make any sense to me. Honestly, it's very questionable. He literally came to save his life, James Reese, in this final episode. And I mean, you could make an argument they set it up a little bit, but not to the point where he's going to screw over his old platoon. Obviously Ben Edwards throughout the season got in multiple fights with Hastings about like, what are we doing here? Why are we with the CIA? They're Navy SEALs and stuff like that. But it was more minor, and Ben Hastings never like betrayed him or anything, or Hastings never betrayed him, and Ben never betrayed Hastings. So it's a little bit weird. Obviously, they got in some scuffles, some like morality and vengeance scuffles, but nothing to where he would kill his old platoon. And we didn't get any final, closure with Hastings, with his crew, with Haverford. Like, literally, it just ended with Ben going to the CIA. And it's like, bro, what happened to your old crew with Haverford, with your CIA crew? What happened with Hastings? We didn't see him in the Terminalist too, so, like, what happened with them? And it did not... the whole point was joining the CIA was supposed to make him, like, more immoral and more about vengeance. But it didn't really fully sell me on that story. I could see it a tiny bit, but not to the point where you would kill your old platoon. So, I don't know. I thought the season was pretty good. I thought the finale wasn't that great. And did not explain Ben Edwards' character at all. But let me know what you think in the comments, guys. I'm curious to know what you think. It's weird. So let me know what you think, guys. Comment below. Again, if you can check out my sponsors, EliteDonut.com. They make better for you donuts. Absolutely freaking delicious. They're donut holes. They're better for you. And again, if you can like, subscribe, again, comment your thoughts. Let me know what breakdown you want to see next. I'm going to be doing more videos. And with that, guys, I will see you in the next one.